Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Shakira Pear. In the headlines, Parliament approves over $900 million budget for 2020-2021 financial year, model farm to be constructed in Wesley, and major developments are on the way for the Roseau South constituency. Details of the headline stories and more when we return. The 2020-2021 national budget has been approved and passed in Parliament. On Tuesday, the 28th of July, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, delivered the 2020-2021 budget amounting to $942,179,940. The budget, which was delivered under the theme The Road to Dynamic Dominica, Fostering Economic Resilience, is one which can be described as encouragement for economic growth and development amidst the economic disadvantage due to the coronavirus pandemic. One of the major features of this year's budget is the reduction of land transfer fees and a grant to first-time home builders. Prime Minister Skerrit says this move shows government's commitment to housing in Dominica, and this ensures that each young Dominican will own a piece of their country.
Mr. Speaker, government realizes that several persons own land, but are not in possession of a certificate of title, as they have difficulty in paying the taxes associated with the transfer. There are also several vacant and quite often prime properties which are in a state of abandonment across Dominica. Many of those have been willed to family members who are unable to divide and register these properties in their names simply because they do not have the required financial resources. We are also aware that several Dominicans, particularly young people, would like to own a piece of Dominica, and any assistance received from government would help to make that possible. For a period of 1 year, that is from September 1, 2020 to August 31, 2020, the fees related to transfer or purchase of land will be as follows. Stamp duty, 2%, judicial fee, 1%, assurance fund, 1%, fee to lawyers, a maximum of 1.5%.
The total of 5.5% on the value of the property will be paid by the buyer instead of the 10.5% which is currently payable. Government will also be providing grants for first-time home builders, and duties on building materials will also be reduced.
Notwithstanding government's expansive housing program, we are cognizant of the fact that we must create the environment to encourage people to build their own homes. We have more than doubled the mortgage interest deductions allowable for income tax, have made funds available at the Government Housing Loan Board and at the Aid Bank for access by public officers and citizens in general. Government is going further this year and is providing for a temporary reduction in the fees related to the transfer of land. It is our desire that everyone, particularly our young people, will take advantage of the opportunity during this very favorable period to invest in the purchase of properties and construction of their homes. To assist in this regard, government has set aside an amount of $1.5 million to support persons under the age of 40 years whose annual income is less than $100,000, who have never owned a home before and are interested in acquiring a home of their own. This support will be provided in the form of grant vouchers to a maximum of $10,000 per home for the purchase of building materials, or to be put towards the transfer fees for the purchase of a new home, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister Skerrit outlined the requirements to qualify for the grant.
To qualify, first-time home builders must present copies of building plans approved by the Physical Planning Division and must have commenced construction with the secured financing required to complete construction of the building where they intend to reside. In the case of first-time buyers of a home, notice of intention to sell must be presented along with evidence that financing has been secured. These grants will be available from October 1, 2020, and will be administered by the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, and is expected to benefit 150 of our young people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while we concentrate on providing for the vulnerable, middle-aged and elderly, we shall continue to assist in the development of our young people to ensure they can be self-sufficient and contribute to the building of Dominica for generations to come.
For this financial year, the digital transformation of Dominica's economy will be well advanced as government has secured a $75 million loan with the World Bank to help finance the transformation of Dominica's digital economy. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says in order to grow the economy and to ensure more sustainable and higher-paying jobs, particularly for the young people, the government of Dominica decided to pursue the digital economy.
Mr. Speaker, this policy was clearly articulated in the Labour Party manifesto, and our seriousness was manifested in the creation of a ministerial portfolio, which specifically focused on the digital economy. We immediately embarked on efforts to secure the necessary financing to help us achieve our objectives. In less than 6 months of this new government taking office, we have secured $75 million to help finance this transformation of our economy. I shall leave the articulation of the details of this progressive and innovative initiative to the minister responsible for the digital economy to expound upon. But suffice it to say that this is a tremendous show of concern for and confidence in our young people, Mr. Speaker. As I said earlier, this $75 million being invested in the youth to assure them, especially those now at university and other schools, of increasing opportunities for them in this emerging economy.
Prime Minister Skerrit says the transformation of the digital economy will upgrade government's telecommunications infrastructure and network, which started last year.
This transformation, while primarily advantageous to young people, will also benefit the whole of the society. By improving efficiency and the way we do business, by bringing to us an increased range of online services, including allowing us to pay bills online and accessing government services, by employing digital technology to make our businesses more attractive and accessible to the public, by making online education more readily available to our students, and by improving the delivery of healthcare services for our people.
Meantime, Prime Minister Skerrit promised entrepreneurs that government will assist their business endeavors in the 2020-2021 budget. A special facility was put in place to support micro, small, and medium enterprises in Dominica. The Finance Minister says these small businesses have played a critical role in Dominica's economy over the years.
Mindful of the contribution of these businesses to the economic development of our country, government, over the past 3 months, has implemented a number of measures amounting to $23.2 million to cushion the negative impact of COVID-19 on the MSMEs in our country. These measures included extension of the tax payment and filing due dates, access to a special highly concessional loan facility to assist these businesses in meeting the operational costs, and livelihood grants to the self-employed and employees who were grossly affected.
To date, 799 individuals have received livelihood grants. Another 292 have just been approved for payment this week, while 390 loans have been approved.
Government is cognizant of the need to continue to assist these businesses in accessing the necessary financing for the development, growth, and viability. Government will provide to the aid bank an amount of $30 million over a 3-year period for lending to micro, small, and medium-sized businesses in Dominica. These funds will be loaned at an interest rate of 1%. This is in addition to the other facilities currently available through the aid bank, Mr. Speaker. An amount of $4 million has been set aside for this fund during this fiscal year in the first instance. To benefit, persons must be in good standing with the Dominica Social Security and Inland Revenue Division. I intend on meeting a representative group of entrepreneurs and business owners as early as July 29, 2020, to hear from them on the conditions and parameters of this new exciting initiative, which will benefit all of them.
The Prime Minister says government is aware that small business owners have concerns about having similar income tax filing requirements as a medium-sized business. The Minister of Finance says government is implementing a simplified tax system for small businesses. This system is expected to be implemented by January 2022. Government ministers have praised the 2020-2021 budget, which was presented under the theme, The Road to Dynamic Dominica, Fostering Economic Resilience. The budget was presented on Tuesday, July 28th by Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Roseau. Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Reginald Austri, says that despite challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, this budget was creative and innovative while including resources to benefit citizens.
I've never doubted the depth of the creativity of our leader, Roseau. And today it came out very, very clear that in the midst of this pandemic that every single country in the world is battling, we would expect any government passing a budget would increase harsh measures or remove from the resources to fight COVID. In this budget, we saw this government including resources and putting in measures not just to fight the COVID pandemic, but to stimulate and grow economy.
Minister Austri says the budget was created to ensure that every sector will benefit while easing the anxiety of citizens affected by the pandemic.
When you look at the budget, every single sector of the economy will benefit positively. Of course, there was no increase in taxes. And you do understand that to fight COVID, you had to find additional resources from all other sectors, from all other areas to fight that pandemic. And so you automatically would expect an increase in tax because you have to earn and create more revenue. That was not so in this budget. And like I was saying, every single sector benefited from this budget. The tourism sector benefited quite a bit. Education, housing, agriculture, the youth, the elderly. I do not believe that anywhere in the world at this particular time you could have found a budget that would release the anxiety and the burden from the citizenry as this budget is doing or will do to the people of Dominica.
Minister Austri made special mention of one of the major initiatives in the budget put in place to assist young persons in building or buying their own homes. He urged the young people to quickly take advantage of the available opportunity.
The government has been carrying the burden of providing housing for people for the last 10 years. Building whole homes, complete homes, renovation of homes. We have been carrying this 100% to a very great extent. And I believe that there are some people in this country who are prepared to assist themselves, who are prepared to help themselves. I believe that we have young professionals who want to help themselves, who doesn't necessarily need a free house from the government. But because they cannot get the initial start-off, because they cannot get that extra 10, 20,000 that they require, they are stalled. I believe this particular measure, which will put monies into their hands I believe that will find a number of Dominicans, because housing has now become almost like a fashionable thing in Dominica. Everybody wants a house because the government has created the environment for everybody to want a house and to love a house. And I believe that for the young people in particular, who have some resources, who can get some resources, but who just need this extra push, and there are quite a bit of Dominicans who just need that extra push from the government, I believe that they will take advantage of that measure, and I think it's a very serious measure, and I expect to see the young people racing to the institutions to get the money to build, because they want to build. They want their own designs, they want their own style. They don't want the government to design for them. And if it means that they can get the extra 10, the extra 20, the extra $15,000 from the government to push them over, I believe a number of Dominicans will opt for that opportunity.
The senior minister went on to commend the Prime Minister for his foresight and creativity, as well as the financial advisors who helped create the budget. He then urged the public officers to put in the work to ensure that the initiatives outlined in the budget are fruitful.
I must say kudos to our Prime Minister for his vision, for his foresight, his tenacity, his ability to survive and to come through in very difficult times, and his advisors and the public officers and the cabinet who sat with him and put this thing together. I don't think we could ask for nothing better. I believe it's an excellent budget. What will determine the success of the budget is our ability to implement the measures that are stated therein. I have no doubt that we will raise the financing. And if the Prime Minister puts into a budget a measure, then he already knows where the money is going to come from to do it. What I want to employ is that the public officers and all those who will be responsible for implementation to spend the extra hour, spend the extra minutes, and let us do it for Dominica. We have the material, we have the ideas, we have the vision. Now it's execution time. Excellent budget, and I couldn't ask for anything better.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
Scary! Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking. Then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards, take control, reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down, get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and Sidera.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, in collaboration with the World Bank and the Chinese Mission, is set to construct a model farm in the Wesley community. That is according to Minister for the Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, Honorable Fidel Grant, during his contribution to the 2020-2021 budget debate. Minister Grant says seasoning crops such as turmeric and ginger, as well as various fruits and vegetables, will be planted on the farm.
Mr. Speaker, the model farm will start with an initial 12 acres of land and eventually move to occupy another 40 acres. Mr. Speaker, within 2 weeks, we'll begin clearing and preparation work. Mr. Speaker, we will partner with the Chinese Mission and the World Bank to provide technical support for this model farm. On the model farm, Mr. Speaker, we will utilize modern practices and ensure that we have a consistent supply of crops like ginger, turmeric, and a wide variety of spices, vegetables, and fruits, which are traditionally deemed as seasonal crops.
He explained that after the farm is operational, his ministry will be partnering with the Ministry of Tourism, International Transport, and Maritime Initiatives to turn the farm into an agro-tourism site. This will give visitors a chance to walk through the farm and take part in various activities such as making fruit juices and creating fruit bowls, among others.
We are partnering with the Ministry of Tourism to make this model farm an agro-tourism site, where locals as well as tourists can walk through the farm to gain an experience of planting, harvesting,
experience picking and eating fresh fruits and vegetables, and explore the farm. Mr. Speaker, on the model farm, visitors will be able to choose from the herbs and spices available and have their tea brewed on site. Mr. Speaker, tourists will also have the option of selecting fruits and vegetables and create fresh vegetable salads, fruit bowls, fruit juices, and smoothies. Mr. Speaker, visitors will also be able to purchase meals cooked from fresh produce and meat from the farm.
Minister Grant says this farm will bring employment and economic growth to his constituency from the start of construction to its full operation.
This model farm will create employment for the people of my constituency directly and indirectly. Initially, we'll employ 20 persons and expand as time goes by. The activities on the farm will stimulate the local economy through the sale and purchases of produce from the farm, Mr. Speaker. There will be a circulation of foreign currency once the farm begins to operate as a tourist site. Mr. Speaker, there is considerable potential to be harnessed from the model farm. Mr. Speaker, I submit to you today that this is an example of fostering economic resilience.
Parliamentary representative for the Roseau South constituency, Honorable Shakira Lockhart Hippolyte, has outlined some of her plans for her constituency, which were included in the 2020-2021 national budget. Honorable Hippolyte says the construction of resilient housing units are amongst the top priorities for the constituents in Roseau South.
In the area of housing, Mr. Speaker, 43 apartment units will be built at Girodel for the constituents of Roseau South. And this is expected to begin in this fiscal year. 10 pre-Conco housing will also be built at Charlotte Valley Estate in Newtown and 30 in Bath Estate. Mr. Speaker, in 2019-2020, $9.4 million was spent in the Roseau South constituency for housing. 681 constituents benefited. Mr. Speaker, we as a government will continue to assist the residents in Roseau South with their housing needs.
Abandoned properties in the constituency has always been an issue, but plans are in place to utilize these properties.
Our government, through this budget, has introduced 2 pivotal programs that can be used to accelerate the structural renaissance of Roseau South. 1, the reduction in land property transfer fees for both buyer and seller. Introduction of the property tax. Mr. Speaker, the 2011 National Census unearthed invaluable data on the nature of idle properties in Roseau South, while some regions in Roseau South are amongst the most structurally appealing in Dominica. There are others that are embarrassingly unsightly. This state of affairs is untenable and must be changed in this new era, Mr. Speaker.
The Roseau South parliamentary representative says although $7.3 million was spent on road rehabilitation in 2019-2020, work in the Roseau South constituency will continue.
The Castle Comfort to Girodel Back Road, $5.9 million. The Clark Access Road, $447,000. The Walhouse Road, $593,000, Mr. Speaker. But we are not finished. We know that we have a lot more roads to be rehabilitated in Roseau South. But under the Community Road Enhancement Project, other road projects will be undertaken around this constituency.
The long-awaited new road rehabilitation projects will also commence following the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
The Lubia to Bagatelle Road is on its way. The Wallhouse Main Road was recently rehabilitated, Mr. Speaker. The Newtown Sidewalk project from Suki all the way to the Fortune Junction. This is scheduled to begin within the first quarter of this financial year.
Honorable Hippolyte added the Bath Estate to Emsall Bridge will be constructed.
The Bath Estate to Emsall Link Bridge forms part of the estimates for 2020-2021. The bridge is estimated at a cost of $10 million. I want to assure the residents of Emsall that this bridge will be done. Discussions will be held with you, the residents of Emsall, post this budget discussion.
Meantime, the construction of a new health center is also part of the Roseau South development plans.
The construction of the modern Newtown Health Center. I will repeat, the construction of the modern Newtown Health Center. Mr. Speaker, the operatives of the opposition has been saying that this health center will not be built in Newtown. But I hope they're listening, Mr. Speaker, because work on this Newtown Health Center will commence in September of 2020. The Newtown community has waited patiently, and our moment has come.
And now for your weather update. A weak surface to low-level trough is expected to produce occasional cloudiness with brief scattered showers across the area during the next 18 to 24 hours. Thereafter, by Thursday into early Friday, a tropical wave is expected to generate an increase in shower and possible thunderstorm activity across the island. Slight to moderate seas are expected during the next 24 hours, with waves peaking to 5 feet. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, as well as on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I am Shakira Peer. Thank you for watching.